You're towing 10,000 pounds on tires where every gram of steel they skipped is profit for them and risk for you. RV owners call them China bombs, but the problem is not the country on the sidewall, it is the engineering decisions inside the rubber. We are going to cut these tires open and show you the missing steel belts, the paper-thin inner liners, and the exact brands that mechanics are quietly refusing to install. Then, we are going to show you 4 tires the same size that carry so much more steel and rubber that the weight alone tells you which one was built to survive. China bomb is not a slur, it's a symptom. The term China bomb did not come from a government agency. It came from RV owners who watched their trailer tires shred at highway speeds and compared the sound to an explosion. It's a label for a pattern of failure that keeps showing up in the same place. On low-cost ST tires shipped as original equipment on new trailers. The NHTSA has documented this pattern in black and white. In 2020, Saloon recalled over 84,000 ST-type trailer tires after a steel belt package design change contributed to tread belt separation. GoodRide faced a separate recall when its ST200 line developed sidewall delamination and bubbling after inflation. These are not internet rumors. These are manufacturers admitting that the construction inside the tire was wrong. But the recalls are only the tip of the problem. The real danger is the tires that escaped the recall list. They're still rolling down the interstate right now, with thin inner liners and load ratings that look correct on paper, but leave no margin for real-world weight. About 1/3 of motorhomes in one weigh-scale survey exceeded their tire ratings without even exceeding the axle limits. Chronic underinflation makes it worse. When an ST tire is underinflated and overloaded on a hot interstate, the internal temperature climbs fast. Heat breaks down the rubber compounds and weakens the bond between the steel belts and the surrounding carcass. The manufacturers know these conditions exist. They ship these tires anyway, because the alternative costs more per unit, and that margin matters across 10,000 trailers. That's why the central question is not whether China bombs are real. It's why modern ST tires delaminate at highway speeds, when older designs did not. And the answer is not on the tread. It's inside the rubber. And once you see it, you will never read a sidewall the same way again. The autopsy. What a failing tire looks like inside. ST stands for special trailer. These tires are built to carry heavy vertical loads with stiff sidewalls that limit sway. That design works when the internal construction matches the stress. The problem is that manufacturers stripped many modern ST tires down to a price point, and the missing material is invisible until the tire fails. To understand the failure, start with the inner liner. This is the layer of rubber closest to the air chamber. Its only job is to keep oxygen from migrating into the carcass and reaching the steel belts. Research by ExxonMobil Chemical and by N. Tokita demonstrated a direct connection between inner liner thickness and the rate of belt edge separation. The more permeable or thinner the liner, the faster air reaches the belts. Once oxygen contacts the steel, it triggers a chemical aging process that breaks down the adhesive bonds between rubber and metal. This happens first in the shoulder area near the belt edges, where heat and stress are already concentrated. A tire with a thick liner has built-in insurance against separation, but a thin or uneven liner can contribute to eventual failure, even when the tire is properly inflated and not overloaded. In failed tires, researchers found sections where the liner was thinner than specified, with cord shadowing visible on the inner surface. That's the steel cord outline pressing through insufficient rubber coverage. That's a manufacturing shortcut that turns every highway mile into a deposit toward catastrophe. But the liner is only half the story. Now, look at the belts. High-quality trailer tires use multiple layers of high-tensile steel cord embedded in rubber to stabilize the tread. The cap ply shrinks during curing and cinches itself around the belts, locking them together. If the belt edges are not fully encapsulated in rubber, cyclic stress initiates microscopic cracks that grow with every rotation. At sustained highway speed, the combination of centrifugal force and weakened rubber allows the belt to unzip. The tread peels away from the carcass. The driver hears a thump or feels a vibration, and then the tire comes apart. Budget tires skip these reinforcements. They use polyester or nylon plies where steel should be, and they skip gum strips and belt edge stiffeners. The tire weighs less and costs less, and when the heat and speed combine, it fails faster. 5 brand families to remove from your trailer. Once you know what to look for inside the tire, the brand names start to make sense. I'm not going to give you a government-certified ranking because no public failure rate database exists. What I will give you is the list of brands that keep showing up in owner photos and mechanic blacklists, backed by formal recalls where available. Westlake is the name you'll see most often in forum threads about blowouts. It's a subsidiary of the Hangzhou Zhongce Rubber Company, the same parent that owns Goodride, Compass, and Chaoyang. Owners report repeated delamination events, even at low mileage, and the tires lack the steel belt margin needed for sustained highway loads. Goodride is deliberately named to echo Goodyear, but the construction is entirely different. The NHTSA recalled the ST200 line for sidewall delamination and bubbling after inflation. When a tire bubbles on the sidewall after normal inflation, the bond between layers has already failed. Triangle tires carry a community nickname that tells you everything: Ditch Finder. Reviews consistently cite poor grip, noisy operation, and thin construction that wears unevenly. And the pattern gets worse from there. Geostar, Autogreen, and Chaoyang cluster together because they share the same parent and the same problem. They're budget lines with reported lifespans under 10,000 miles and tread that thins out in the center while the edges still look acceptable. That uneven wear is a warning sign that the internal structure is not holding its shape. Castle Rock, Unicorn, and Travel Star frequently show up as original equipment on new RVs. Owners report catastrophic failures within 2,000 to 5,000 miles, sometimes on the first major trip. Trailer manufacturers select these tires because they cost less per unit than a quality replacement. That's the only reason. Even within these brand families, load range and date code matter. A suspect brand with load range E and a fresh DOT code is safer than the same brand at load range C with aged rubber. These manufacturers have already shown you what they prioritize. That priority is not your safety. 4 tires built to survive. But pointing out the bad ones is only half the job. You also need to know what good actually looks like. And the answer goes deeper than a brand name. It's a set of construction standards that you can verify. The Goodyear Endurance is widely cited as the benchmark, and it's made in the United States. It uses multiple steel belts and an 80 miles per hour speed rating. The Maxxis M8008 Plus is a double steel belted radial with a spiral cap ply designed to enhance uniformity and strength under load. It's the kind of construction where the belt package is built to survive the heat instead of surrendering to it. Carlisle Radial Trail HD uses high tensile steel belts and a next-generation tread compound meant to improve heat dissipation. The Radial Trail HD in higher load ranges earns consistent praise from heavy trailer operators. Some Carlisle production is in China, which proves the point that country of origin is not the variable. Factory quality control and belt package engineering determine the difference. Saloon S637 SP is the counter-argument to anyone who claims all Chinese tires are junk. Saloon uses commercial-grade construction with far more steel and rubber than the budget lines. The same parent country that produces Westlake also produces Saloon, and the difference is not geography. It's the engineering decisions inside the factory walls. All 4 are built the same way. They use thicker inner liners, multiple steel belts, conservative load ratings, and speed margins that give you room to operate instead of pushing the tire to its edge on every trip. That extra weight you feel when you lift one of these tires is not a marketing gimmick. It's the physical evidence of whether the tire was built to be owned or built to be replaced. The parking lot test. Knowing the brand names helps, but there's one test you can do in a parking lot that tells you everything. Check the DOT date code on your sidewall. Tires older than 5 years are suspect regardless of how deep the tread looks, because rubber ages from the inside out. Check your load range. If your trailer's loaded weight puts you at or near 100% of the tire's rated capacity, you need to move up a load range. Aim for at least a 20% margin above your actual weight. check the speed rating. A 65 miles per hour maximum is not enough for sustained interstate towing, so you need 80 miles per hour or higher. And finally, check the weight. Lift a budget tire and a quality tire of the same size. The quality tire will feel noticeably heavier. That extra mass is steel and rubber that the budget tire skipped. And it's the only insurance that matters when you're running at 70 miles per hour with a loaded trailer behind you. The next time you walk past your trailer, look at the sidewall. If you see one of those 5 names, you're not looking at a tire. You're looking at a recall that has not happened yet. We document the engineering decisions that are destroying the machines you trust. Subscribe if you want more forensic audits, and check your tires before your next trip.